All right, our agenda for today, we're going to go over a little intro to the semester. You'll meet our instructors. We'll do class updates and reminders, have time for Q&A later. We'll have a reception that follows. You're going to have a 30-minute window between the reception and registration opening. When we do that, we're also going to have tickets so that if you're staying for registration, it'll be like on a number system. And we'll have several registration points, and we'll have, as we're calling it, a bouncer who's going to call out numbers, so you'll know where to go when your number's called. Does that make sense to everybody? Excellent. All right. So I'm Leslie. Most of you I've seen before. If I haven't met you before, it's a pleasure to have you here. Look forward to chatting with you later on this morning. Leah Rusi, our operations manager, is with you right now virtually. You can't see her at the moment, but she'll come on screen with her slide, and she'll actually be in the game room helping people register at one of our stations. Via Zoom, yes. Janice Pleiner, our amazing program manager, who's curated your semester for every semester for 13 years, and she did a great job this semester as well. Kathleen McDonald, our tutoring coordinator, is on vacation this week, rightly so. So if you have questions about that, we'll direct you to some of our staff here. And Anna Stacks, our operations coordinator, is here as well, supporting us on site. Some of the highlights for the fall semester, we have over 120 unique programs that, again, Janice has done an amazing job curating. We have more series classes than we've had before. That's those classes that go on for part of the semester. So we have 30 different classes that are running in a series. Our fitness classes have moved to having no semester breaks. I know that's been a little confusing for folks. We've heard you, we've listened, and kind of made that pivot. So if you want to take the class through the whole semester, you can. We have 18 discussion-based groups this semester and 24 health and fitness offerings. And that's our fall catalog, which a lot of you either have had at your seat or have had a chance to preview before online. What we're doing this semester is a little bit different. We're expanding our in-person opportunities. We really wanted to have that opportunity for more socialization. And we've complemented that with over 16 ongoing virtual classes. Our new and existing classes that have virtual options also include 4 book discussion groups, 2 online exercise classes, and we're adding a new class, a new offering called Wellness Wednesdays. We're going to be greatly increasing our recorded Oasis classes. So although there won't be as many online for that hybrid experience, if you want to take a class, but you can't make it in person for a variety of different reasons, we have over 50 of those classes that will be recorded. So you'll still have the opportunity to see the recordings afterwards, even if you don't take those live classes. And we're doing that quicker, so you'll get them within 24 hours, but you'll have 3 days afterwards to watch those recordings. The reason we're doing this is to kind of balance accessibility, engagement, and sustainability. Although virtual programming provides access and connection, it doesn't provide or completely replicate the benefits of physically leaving your house, traveling to a shared community space, encountering other people, having spontaneous conversations, recognizing familiar faces, and developing relationships through that repeated interaction. So we wanted to foster that this semester and moving forward. Next slide. I can do it. All right. Oh, she's got she's got one and I've got one. So next we're going to have Leah come up on the screen and talk about our volunteers. I'll be popping up later to talk about some of our mindfulness classes too.
Can y'all see me?
Yeah, go ahead, Leah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Rusi. I'm the operations manager at Oasis, and I'm so happy to be with you virtually today. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about volunteering because it really is such an important part of not only our mission here at Oasis, but also our success. So much of what we're able to offer our participants is made possible because of the time, energy, and expertise of our volunteers. There are lots of ways to get involved. Our intergenerational tutoring program is a wonderful opportunity to work directly with local elementary school students. We also have volunteers who help at the Oasis office and front desk. Some serve as Zoom moderators for our online classes, assist with programs and events, and they support Oasis in so many other ways. One of our newest volunteer roles is as a host or co-host for our newly forming Lunch Bunch social groups. So if you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to hear from you. For intergenerational tutoring, you can contact Kathleen McDaniel. Right now, our August and September tutor trainings are full, but please don't let that stop you from reaching out. We may have openings for a mid-year tutor training in January. So Kathleen would be happy to hear from anyone who's interested and keep you informed about that opportunity. If you're interested in co-hosting our Lunch Bunch social groups, please reach out to our director, Leslie Pont. She'll be coordinating that effort. And for all other volunteer opportunities, please reach out to me or Anna Sachs. All of our contact information is on the inside cover of your catalog. So there are so many ways to contribute your time and talents at Oasis, and we are always grateful for the volunteers who help make our community what it is. So thank you all.
Thank you, Leah. Okay, and now we're going to hear from Janice. Right? Right? Was that the right slide?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a few semester highlights, and then we'll hear from our instructors what you really came for. So we are having our annual community concert again for the 4th year. It's Wednesday, September 9th. It's the one that is that Daryl Davis is a special guest at, and it's featuring a wonderful a cappella group called Reverb. So there's information about that on the back of your catalog. You have to register through AARP, and there's information about how to do that. We can also help you if you have any questions. We're going to have our annual fall prevention series because September is Fall Prevention Month. So we have some wonderful medical professionals lined up to talk about various aspects and ways to prevent falls. We have some new mindfulness classes, which Leslie will talk about. We're going to have some monthly coffee chats, alternating months for new members and just to meet the staff. That's all in our catalog. Lunch bunches were mentioned. The last thing I'll mention is that we, for the past year, have been partnering with a group called AFC Travel, who works with other Oasis centers around the country to schedule international travel and some domestic travel. So this year in 2026, there was already a group that went to the Grand Canyon, and that was some folks from here, some folks from Rochester, and also from Syracuse Oasis. So it was really cool for them to meet Oasis people from other places. Coming up in 2027, we've planned for 2 trips. I hope you'll maybe take a look and see if you want to go. One is Canadian cities, and the other one is England, Scotland, and Wales. And there's information on the table at the front about those. So this is just a teaser. We're happy to answer any questions that you have about these programs. Okay, so I'm really happy that we have such a wonderful assembly of instructors here today who wanted to be here in person and join us. And so I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about what they're going to be doing this fall, what they're going to be teaching this fall. Maybe you haven't heard from some of these instructors before, and so it's a new opportunity to take a program with a new Oasis instructor. We have several new Oasis instructors here. But first, we're going to start with our tried and true and longtime participant instructor, Daryl Davis.
Well, greetings, everyone in-house here, and those of you at home. I'm Daryl Davis. It's good to see some familiar faces and some new ones as well. So for those of you who don't know me, my areas of expertise are various genres of music and also race-related topics. But I also have a wide interest in other topics that are kind of off the beaten track. Perhaps I'm curious about them, or they may have been suggested or requested by people like you coming to Oasis. So I'm going to start off with 2 classes that I'll be teaching this fall on October 14th. This year we celebrate the 100th birthday of the man who invented rock and roll, the late, great Chuck Berry. I know there are many people out there who may have other ideas about who invented rock and roll, but I know the truth. And I will prove it to you if you come to my class on October 14th. Okay, he would have been 100 years of age, October 18th, as a matter of fact, if he had lived. But he died at the age of 90 back in 2017. So a lot of these classes that I teach on music, you don't have to be a musician to attend these classes. They're for musicians and also for music lovers. And I try to keep it interesting. In many cases, I have firsthand knowledge of the genres that I teach about. Sometimes I might even play them on the piano over there. Or if I'm talking about some of the musicians, I have firsthand knowledge about a lot of them because I've worked with a lot of them, such as you see me working there with Chuck Berry. I played with him for 32 years, and he was the reason why I got into music in the first place. And the reason why I got into Oasis in the first place is sitting right back there on the end. You'll see him very shortly, Seth Keibel. So he brought me into the program. So I try to give insights as to the musicians, things, that you won't see in the media, or I'll explain some things that are in the media that have been misinterpreted and things like that, because a lot of people get interviews wrong. So I try to give you some personal insights as to some of these people, especially the ones who I've worked with or I have come to know personally, as well as some others who may have passed on even before I started playing, but have done a lot of research. So that's part of the music thing. I'll be here with Happy Birthday, Chuck Berry on October the 14th. And don't forget, you don't have to be a musician to appreciate the things that you will learn and how he impacted the soundtrack of your lives. You all have sang his songs, you all have danced to his music, and so you all know who he is. The other class I'll be teaching this fall, did I hit something here? Okay, thank you. All right, the other class I'll be teaching this fall is Where Are They Now? And it'll be a plethora of different people in all different walks of life. Some of them are celebrities, some are non-celebrities, some are famous, some are infamous, some are just people who have crossed our paths for maybe 15 minutes of fame, as opposed to those who've been in our lives for a long time. Then all of a sudden we wonder, well, where did that person go? Well, I'm going to offer you a variety of people from all different walks of life. Those who, like I said, who are famous, those who are infamous, and those who've been around for a long time, those who've just passed through, but we have seen them in the media. Because, the media has a very short window. You see somebody there one day, then you wonder whatever happened to them. Nobody's talking about that person anymore. So we'll try to answer some of those questions, and I hope you'll join me for that class on December the 1st, I believe. But all the classes here at Oasis are fascinating. You have a whole group of great instructors. So any of their classes, that you come to see, trust me, you will be impressed and surprised. And I hope that you will share this with all your friends so they too can enjoy what you have enjoyed. Thank you. And by the way, speaking of music, I've got to take off right now to go do a music gig in Frederick. But if you have any questions about me, because I hope to be able to stay here and mingle with you all afterwards, but I can't. But if you have any questions, just see Janice and she'll put you in contact with me, or see Seth Keibel back there. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We had a very tall instructor, so we want to make sure the camera angle is good for the recording. Anyway, Ralph Buglis is a longtime Oasis speaker, works with Montgomery History, and he's going to tell us about an exciting tour.
Good morning, everyone. So you just heard about Chuck Berry's birthday. And of course, you know that we as a nation just celebrated our birthday last month, July 4th. It was a big one. We turned 250. But did you know that our county, Montgomery County, is also turning 250 this year? But our county's birthday is actually still to come. It's coming up next month, September 6th. 1776. We were formed out of the southern portion of Frederick County. So our county seat, of course, is Rockville, and I'll be giving a walking tour of sites in Rockville Town Center that help tell the story of our county's 250-year history. It's listed here in the catalog, page 18 under excursions, and it'll be October 1st. Guaranteed to be a gorgeous fall day. We'll be meeting in front of the new Montgomery History Center. Janice said I'm a volunteer speaker for Montgomery History. You probably know the organization is Montgomery County Historical Society. It's that's a mouthful, so we've shortened our name. The new History Center is in the former Art Deco Bank building, right in the center of Rockville. And to place it, it's actually diagonally across the street from the Rockville Police Station, which you may also know is the old Rockville the old Rockville Post Office, built about the same time as the Art Deco Bank building. And so we'll be strolling along sidewalks, mostly level surfaces, about 4 or 5 city blocks. As a volunteer for Montgomery History, I actually gave the keynote address at a conference last fall on our county's 250-year history. Semi-quincentennial is the full name. That's also a mouthful. I'm a county native as well, graduate of nearby Winston Churchill High School. And at this point, I sometimes feel like walking history myself. So with that qualification, I hope you'll consider joining me for a stroll through Rockville and Montgomery County's history, October 1st.
Thank you, Ralph. By the way, there is a sheet inside your catalog, which is a list of all the speakers that you're hearing from today and the list of their classes. So this can be your checklist or your reminder if you hear something that you want to make sure to sign up for. Leah, is the height on the video okay now?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. So I invite up Archana Gupta, a relatively new fitness instructor, to tell you about her upcoming class.
Hi, my name is Archana Gupta. Can you all hear me? No? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. I teach chair yoga for mobility, and we're going to be exercising our entire body, opening up, waking up all the joints and everything, and then meditation and breath work. And I feel very passionately about chair yoga because during COVID, I was doing chair yoga with my father, and it made such a difference to his whole persona, his whole being, because the breath is so important and we don't breathe properly as in our current situation environment. So he learned how to breathe going fully and completely down to his belly, all the way up, and it was a slow breath, and it just made such a difference. So I am inviting all of you to please come join my class. I try to keep it fun and engaging, and the benefit is that you get the movement along with my wonderful personality.
Thank you, Archana. So now we have a couple of recorded videos from instructors who couldn't be here today, but wanted to share with you what they're going to be up to this fall.
Hello, I'm Nora Hammerman, and I'm going to tell you about a 2-part class that I'm giving soon at Oasis. And this has to do with a question you might ask yourself when you go into a great museum and you see a particularly wonderful work of art and you wonder how it got there. And I'm going to talk about 2 different ways in which sometimes things get into our museums that didn't get there through good ways. The first one will be about loot from ancient sites, both relatively recent, in which some things are being returned to their countries of origin, and from a long time ago, like the Louvre in Paris, which has a beautiful zodiac ceiling from a temple that Napoleon's army destroyed in Egypt, the Venus de Milo, the Winged Victory of Samothrace, and all sorts of other wonderful things that they don't quite tell you the truth about how they got there. The second part of this is going to talk about something more recent, which is the actually, in many ways, a happy story, which is that many works of art that were looted by Hitler and his Goering, his right-hand man, during World War II, all over Europe, the greatest looting expedition of art of all time, are now little by little being returned to their heirs. And if you walk into the Cleveland Museum or the National Gallery in Washington, you will be able to see paintings that have been returned to their rightful owners and then have found their way into those museums. So those are two fascinating stories about the relationship between great art and big crime that I'm going to be telling you. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Larissa. I'm the instructor for cardio drumming here at Oasis. It's a really fun workout where we use drums and a big yoga ball and we hit that ball. And this time we're gonna have 2 sessions. So one session is gonna be completely sitting down in your seat, so you don't have to worry about getting up and down. And then our second session is gonna be standing and sitting in a full body workout. So I hope you join us.
2 more. 1 more now.
So much fun. Came in tired and in a bad mood and walking out, warmed up, ready to go. Larissa is a ball.
I really want to endorse this class. Not only do you get great aerobic exercises, but you get balanced exercises and coordination. And most important, it's a lot of fun. Our instructor is great, and the music is great, and it's just fun.
Guess where that class takes place? Right here in this classroom on Friday mornings. So it's such a popular class. We've added another section to make it possible for more people to participate in Larissa Johnson and cardio drumming. So hope you'll consider that class. All right. So now we have one of our other instructors. He's actually a new instructor for Oasis. He was introduced to us by a colleague that we work with, Kathleen McGinnis, and his name is Bob Blameyer.
Thank you, Janice. Good morning, everybody. I wrote this book called Unforced Errors. Okay, 15 bad decisions that changed American history. Now, you know, most of our history, we talk about the good decisions that were made. But similarly, certainly bad decisions were made that have also affected history. Let me just briefly give you sort of my circuitous route to becoming an author of this book. I grew up in Indiana, the son of a firefighter, a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to be president of the United States. So I came to GW for college, and the first day after my parents dropped me off, I took a bus down to Capitol Hill to offer my 18 years of life experience to the junior senator from Indiana, a man by the name of Birch Bayh. You may or may not remember Birch. I ended up, once I got my foot in the door, I never left. I stayed with him for 13 years and maintained a friendship with him of 52 years until his death in 2019. But also in 2019, I was able to get his biography published that I had written with his cooperation. And it was a labor of love. It's something I was proud of. And I enjoyed the process more than I thought I would. And so I did start thinking about writing another book. But what happened was COVID came along. I'd done all these book events, mostly in Indiana, but around the country. And then COVID hit, and they all became Zoom events, the last 5 events, which I kind of like, because I didn't have to travel. I didn't even have to wear pants. And so one night I was watching a documentary about the Nixon-Kennedy debates, which many of us remember. And I started thinking while I was watching it, why did Nixon agree to do this? This was a terrible decision. There was no precedent. We'd never had presidential debates, and we'd never had a televised national debate. And Eisenhower argued with Nixon not to do it. Here he was, a sitting vice president, against a relatively unknown United States senator who Nixon was arrogant. Basically, he decided that he would be able to end the campaign on debate number 1 because he was a serious pal and JFK was a playboy. And so I started thinking about that more and looking into the backstory behind the debate, which is a fascinating story. And then I started asking myself, how many other bad decisions like this where somebody thought it seriously, a seriously considered strategic decision that went south? Now, I'm not talking about a decision like decide for Kennedy to go to Dallas or Abraham Lincoln to go to Ford's Theater. These were not seriously considered strategic decisions. But I came up with 25 through my years of reading presidential biographies. Another author suggested that 25 was too many, that no one wanted to read 25 and no one wanted to publish 25. So I cut that to 15, got it published, the last chapter of which is called Honorable Mentions, which are those decisions that may have been included but were not. And the best thing about the book events have been the number of ideas that have come up from people over the years. Of course, everybody thinks I could write a whole book about our last couple of years. But I don't know if I call those seriously considered strategic decisions. Nonetheless, I've continued. I had my first novel come out this year, a novel called The Athlete, and I'm working on my fourth book now. So I hope on September 29th, you'll come out and hear me talk about the rest of the bad decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, I'm really excited to introduce Steve Pont, who's going to talk to you about a new program that we're introducing this fall.
Thank you very much. Good to see so many faces out here. I'm hoping this is not a strategically made bad decision on my part. Then you'll write about it in your next book. So that's right. So I understand that, well, we all understand technology permeates everything we do. It's part of our everyday life, but it's not necessarily what we want to do for our entire life, right? We need technology to improve things that we do. Cell phones, communication, but it's not always easy to get things done. Things break, things change, constantly change. We've moved into AI. What is AI? That's a whole lecture in itself. Which would probably need to be redone every week. But I understand that here at Oasis, there had been a need in the past for tech tutoring, something I think ended in 2023, but it's time to bring it back. So I'm going to offer up some sessions where you can register online, provide some information about some technology concerns that you have that maybe are very confusing. My background, besides going to Thanksgiving dinner with my laptop every year and people coming to me as tech support there, I have about 30 years in the industry of I'm a trained software developer, so I went to University of Maryland for computer science. I also have a criminal justice degree, but I don't think I can help anybody with any kind of those problems right now. But I've worked in associations, so nonprofit industry. I've worked in federal government contracting. I'm currently managing a few software development teams for a real estate company, real estate software. So I have a lot of different experiences with lots of technologies. The things that I can help with, devices, right? Are you changing to an Android phone from an iPhone? Are you getting a new iPhone? Are you getting, going the other way? Did the Apple Store not have all the information that you need? A lot of times you go in and, you get something set up and they send you home, right? And they say everything's okay, it should work. And it doesn't, right? There's little things that change. There's settings menus change. You have Ring cameras at home. You don't know how to set them up. There's all kinds of, I want to open it up really to any kind of problems. There's going to be a forum where you can submit your issues, and we'll figure out what we can help with. I'll communicate back and forth if necessary. So we want to give everyone in the Oasis community somewhere to reach out for those questions that you're not sure where to go, where to turn. And even if I can't help directly in a session, I'll definitely provide some kind of feedback as to where you might start or some suggestions. So I hope it should be a great experience. I also I mentor a lot of people in my day job, in software development, a lot of young developers that I'm bringing up. So I love to teach people, love to bring everybody up to speed on how to continue forward. And so that'll be part of it, right? It'll be personalized for everyone, for your experience. And I'm not going to leave you with something broken. I'm going to leave you with, the next steps. And also on the mentoring side of things. We also have, I believe, a college student who's going to help out as well. So hopefully we can kind of grow this into more sessions, right? It's going to be limited sessions initially. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see what kind of questions we have. Maybe we could have some kind of, little Q&A page to help out with some common issues. So it's going to grow. But yeah, that's all. Look forward to hearing from you.
Really, really glad to have Steve on board to help us with, because I know tech questions come up all the time and we really want to be able to help. All right, so next we have Owen Allman, been around Oasis for a while and has a couple of more exciting classes coming up.
Thank you, Janice. 2 days ago, my computer died. And I had someone like Steve come this morning and he resurrected it. So, Steve, you're a god. If you've all had those problems. Thank you, Janice. First, I want to give a shout out to Oasis. I think it's just a fabulous organization and people like Janice and Leah and everyone else. And also from teaching classes, I got to tell you, the students, you who come out have incredible questions that are very challenging and it really puts me on the spot. So I'm really impressed with the quality. So I'm wondering, as we have a important election coming up, have you grown increasingly frustrated with the political polarization of our two major parties? They're constantly in partisan combat, right? They don't want to find compromise to solve the nation's most pressing problems. Well, guess what? You got a lot of company. Recent polls have shown a majority of voters have negative views of both parties now, which is very interesting. And a record number of people, almost 50% now, consider themselves independents. So you have to ask yourself, amid those kinds of sentiments, what are the prospects for a viable third party finally to emerge and pursue those kind of sensible centrist solutions that Democrats and Republicans all have wanted as voters, but the two parties have shunned for partisan reasons. So I'll be talking about that possibility on Tuesday, September 22nd from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And I will try to review it from a standpoint of both the history and the current situation. I should say I'm a journalist of 50 years. I've covered the White House. I've covered political campaigns. I've covered economics. I've covered foreign affairs. I've met lots of politicians across the political spectrum over the years. And I should say, by the way, Birch Bayh was a real gentleman. There are real giants of Congress and the Senate back when I first started covering politics. And I got to say, I don't know whether it's the water or what, but they've all shrunk to midgets in many cases now. I don't get it, seriously. Anyhow, I'll be using a PowerPoint presentation and I'll be looking at the history of third parties and try to answer why hasn't the U.S. had a durable third party like so many other countries that provide a lever to make the other parties come to some kind of compromise. And speaking of compromise, I'll be doing another lecture on looking at our political leaders' failure once again to find sensible solutions to our ongoing dispute over immigration policies. And that'll take place on November 24th, also at 1 p.m. in this room. And what's interesting, as you know, there's a lot of controversy, obviously, about our immigration policies, but polls consistently show that a large majority of Americans share the same view about what immigration should be in the United States. Most of us are descended from immigrants. It's a country steeped in immigration. And we largely believe that immigrants should be welcome in the U.S., but should follow the rules, and that there are ways for the government to make sure that there is a sane legal process to assimilate immigrants rather than having the divisions that we face now. But the two parties, because they're financed by extreme groups, refuse to really compromise. So I'm going to look at, what are the common sense solutions to solve this problem once and for all? And I will include in it a quiz to test your knowledge of our immigration past. So if you come with your thinking caps on and see how well you do on understanding what is the history of immigration in the United States. Finally, I should mention that if you're so inclined, I'm giving another lecture actually this afternoon at 1 p.m. in this very room. So if you want to come back and register, you're certain welcome to come here. And it's on our history of going to war, having adversaries, and then them become our allies. And it occurred to me because here we are, our 250th anniversary, and we're now at war with Iran. And it made me wonder, how many wars have we waged in 250 years? Well, I'll be talking about that. And it's a very interesting fact if you think back of all the wars that we have been involved in. So you may find that very interesting and why we wind up becoming either friends or allies with so many countries that we went to war with in the past. So anyhow, thanks again. I appreciate your coming and I look forward to seeing you.
So Owen is the common sense guy. He talks about common sense things. Okay, so next we have a couple of videos for instructors who couldn't be here today.
Hello, folks. I'm Rick Bell. I'm a professor of history at the University of Maryland, and this is a quick video to tell you about four sessions I'll be doing with Oasis this fall. They're all about the period from roughly 1824 to roughly 1850, so what we might think of as antebellum America. We're going to start by thinking about the role of the presidency and Andrew Jackson, for better or worse, transformative president in that era, and what it means that they were able to elect someone who was from beyond the political classes to shake up Washington. That will be on September the 15th. Then on October the 6th, we'll be talking about another sort of revolution, the transportation revolution. Think of canals and roads and railroads, and the less well-known communications revolution. Think of the spread of the post office and the spread of the telegraph when America enters the electric age. Pushing forward on November the 10th, we'll be talking about social reform, how all these changes roiling American society, politics, society, economics, etc., how they bring on a concern to make a better world that works for more and more Americans. So think about moral reform campaigns to get drunks off drink, for instance, and many other campaigns too. And then to wrap up this four-part session, on December the 8th, we'll talk about the role of slavery and the anti-slavery campaign in antebellum America. Slavery continues to grow and thrive in this 25-year-long period, but there is now a formal, well-organized, and increasingly well-funded abolitionist movement, and they are trying to take down that peculiar institution. Each of these topics stands on their own. You can come for 1, 2, 3, or all four. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I hope you'll join me.
Good afternoon. I'm Hugo Keesing, and I'm here to tell you about the Soundtrack of Our Lives. Soundtrack is a program that grew out of an undergraduate course I developed and taught at the University of Maryland 50 years ago. Meant to teach post-World War II history, it used a mix of historic audio, music, and images, often from popular culture items, to present that history in a non-traditional way. The music of each soundtrack program can be topical, i.e., the epic ride of John Glenn, when selected to introduce or summarize rather than for its popularity. Or it can be popular, for example, having placed high on a Billboard chart, won a Grammy or an Academy Award. The latter songs can provide you with meme opportunities, and by meme, an acronym, I mean music-evoked autobiographical memories, songs that take you immediately back to when you were younger. The program's images are drawn from a wide variety of sources: newspaper, headlines, magazine covers, cultural objects, internet photos. For songs, the image choices are usually original sheet music. Now, this past June, Oasis invited me to present Boomer Influences, a program that focused on the years from 1946 to 1964, when the so-called baby boomers were born. The response was such that I will be presenting 4 new programs this fall, and they are as follows. On October 20, the program will be Boomer Influences Part 2, and it will cover the period from JFK's running for president in 1960 through Richard Nixon's resignation in 1974. Influential news events include the space race with Russia, Beatlemania, the Civil Rights Movement, and of course the Vietnam War. New musical sounds came from Motown, from New York City's Brill Building, Bob Dylan, folk rock, FM radio of what is now called classic rock, and even bubblegum artists such as the 1910 Fruit Gum Company. The November 4th program is entitled Fashions, Fads, and Other Foolishness, songs about clothing, grooming, hobbies, dances, fan clubs, collectibles, all the things that set you apart from your parents and help define your generation. These songs will encourage you to reflect on your own youthful experiences, your likes and your dislikes. On December 2nd, the program will feature Disney-related music, starting with 1929 Steamboat Willie and concluding with the Academy Award-nominated Into the Unknown from 2020's Frozen 2. In between, you'll hear hits from animated films that made Disney famous: Snow White, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, The Lady and the Tramp. You'll also hear World War II propaganda cartoons, with which you're probably not familiar, and songs first heard on TV shows such as Disneyland and the Mickey Mouse Club. Music Road to Black Lives Matter arrives on December 15 and closes the soundtrack for 2026. It will cover more than a century of music from Burt Williams in 1906 to Dax in 2020 that reflect the country's racial history. In styles that range from blues to pop, rhythm and blues to rock, gospel to soul, hip-hop to rap, you will hear contributions from Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, Little Richard, James Brown, LL Cool J, and many more. Also included are songs about sports heroes such as Joe Louis, Cassius Clay, Jackie Robinson, and Willie Mays, as well as victims of violence such as Emmett Till and Rodney King. Of course, Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. are others who are featured in the songs that you will hear. I'm here to say that I'm excited about being invited back for these opportunities to meld education and entertainment for audiences for which much of the soundtrack represents their history and their lives. I hope, therefore, that many of you will join me for these classes. Thank you.
Okay, next, I'd like to invite Denver Brunsman, chair of the George Washington University History Department, who's going to talk about what he's going to be teaching this fall.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janice. It's great to have this room so full and alive, and oh my gosh, I'm sitting at the back, so I'm seeing the effort to find seats and all these programs. I might just camp out in the mall, just the rest of the fall. I mean, just about every day there's something incredible happening. So let me tell you a little bit about this session that I'll be leading on November 12th, and I'll start just from where this book comes from. Since 2012, I've been teaching a class at GW at Mount Vernon. So we leave from Foggy Bottom once a week on a Monday morning, and I take about 15 to 20 students to Mount Vernon, and we spend about 2.5 hours there every week, working with different curators and different professionals on the estate, looking at a whole array of topics. So I've been doing that. I've also been giving a lot of lectures over the years at Oasis on George Washington. I think since 2019, but I would have to check. And I've had a loyal group that's been coming, and I wonder if they've been thinking in the back of their mind, is anything ever going to come of all these lectures that this guy is giving? So I'm especially happy to come to Oasis and share this book this fall. I acknowledge Oasis and the people that have been attending these talks over the years, and as some of the other instructors have mentioned, I've received so many great questions and feedback, and it's just a real honor to come here because I always leave smarter. I don't know if my audiences leave smarter, but I always leave smarter. So I'll very briefly just tell you what the book is. So George Washington's World is the name of my class at GW that I teach for GW students at Mount Vernon. And our purpose is really, I think, kind of fits, kind of the spirit of the sessions you've heard about with politics. And that is just to be evidence-based and to not, either try to glorify George Washington and not to vilify him, but just to try to give an accurate picture of this person and his impact on the country. So the book is not a strict biography. I don't know if we need another George Washington biography, but it has a chronological sense to it where it looks at what I think are the 6 really key topics to understanding George Washington. And those are slavery, Native Americans and the West, the American Revolution, the Enlightenment, the presidency, and then the legacies of Washington, how they've shaped our world really to the present. So it would be wonderful to interact and to learn with all of you, hopefully in November. So thank you, Janice.
Thank you. Thanks, Denver. Okay, so you guys may be familiar with our next presenter, Seth Keibel. Musician extraordinaire, probably has a gig to get to, but decided he would come and tell us about his classes in person. So thank you, Seth.
All right. Thank you. It's great to be back here at Oasis, which is hands down one of my favorite educational institutions located in the back of a home furnishing store. Look, I've been teaching for Oasis for many years, and there are a lot of reasons why I love to teach for Oasis, but one of them is that I pretty much get to pick my own topics. So I only talk about music and musicians that I love and I feel passionate about. And that's definitely true this fall semester. My first class, which will be on September 15th, covers 2 ridiculously talented female pianists and composers who played an outsized role in the history of American jazz and American music, were underappreciated and underrecognized during their lifetimes, and are underappreciated and underrecognized to this very day. First is Miss Lil Hardin Armstrong, who of course is most famous as the second of 3 Mrs. Louis Armstrongs. But as we will talk about, she was a very talented and formidable woman in her own right, a gifted pianist, a brilliant mind. Louis always liked to tell people that his wife was valedictorian at Fisk University. Turns out that was a lie. We'll get to that. But she was very smart. But most importantly, she is the person singularly responsible for turning Louis Armstrong into Louis Armstrong. When he met her, he didn't have a high school diploma. He was basically parentless, grew up dirt poor in New Orleans. She My Fair Lady'd him. She literally taught him how to dress, how to talk, how to use silverware. And more importantly, she took over management of his career and basically turned him from a gifted musician into one of the biggest stars in the world. Look, it's no exaggeration to say that American music, world history would be vastly different without Louis Armstrong. Well, we don't get Louis Armstrong without Lil Hardin. Mary Lou Williams was another gifted pianist and composer who really played an important role in about 6 decades of jazz history, whether it was as a child prodigy growing up in Pittsburgh, where she was known as the piano girl of East Liberty, or in the 20s as a pianist and arranger for Andy Kirk and his 12 Clouds of Joy, or in the 30s as a composer and arranger who contributed to the songbooks of people like Benny Goodman and Duke Ellington. The 1950s, when she was a mentor, a mother figure, if you will, of an entire young generation generation of musicians who would found the bebop revolution. In the 60s, as a pioneer of extended concert works that straddle the world of jazz and classical music. And finally, in the 1970s, as one of the leading figures to bring jazz education to the university environment at Duke University. And, what she accomplished was amazing. But part of her story is also the tragedy. How at every step of the way, her talent and her career was stymied, most notably, incidentally, by the two husbands she had, both of whom were jazz musicians, and both of whom basically made her put her career secondarily to theirs. Then on October 13th, I'll be talking about one of my favorite composers, Mr. Aaron Copland. And Aaron Copland is a fascinating figure because he had about a 60-year compositional career as a gifted and prolific composer. But throughout most of that career, he was very much a modernist. In the avant-garde, using such modern techniques as atonality, 12-tone serialism, and the like. But for a roughly 9-year period, Aaron Copland made a conscious, overt 180 and decided to write in a very more conventional, accessible, and audience-friendly style. Was it mercenary? Was it shameless? Was it pandering? Was it artistic impulse? It's probably all of those things. But pretty much every work we know and love about Aaron Copland was created during that 9-year period. Works like El Salón Mexico, Danzón Cubano, Fanfare for the Common Man, his 3 ballet scores and the accompanying orchestral suites, Billy the Kid, Rodeo, and Appalachian Spring, all from that 9-year period. It also delights me to no end that the composer who is most closely associated with the sound of America, the man whose music is used to sell beef, it's what's for dinner, was a gay Jewish son of immigrants who was very much associated with a lot of socialists and communists during his lifetime. Anyway, it's a fun class. As Janice mentioned, I'm a musician. That's primarily what I do, so I always bring instruments with me. I reference some of my own musical experiences. The classes will be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Seth. Yeah, Seth's kind of low energy, so be sure you have a little coffee before you come to his class. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Leslie about a class that she's going to be teaching this fall.
No.
I know.
Hold on. All right. Wow, what an array of instructors I have to go after. No pressure. All amazing and really interesting, educationally thought-provoking classes. What I'm going to bring to you is relaxation. So that's my role. It might not be my day job role, but it's my passion. So my undergrad's in exercise science and health promotion. I started out doing personal training, coaching gymnastics, as a health coach, then a yoga instructor. You have some of that already in your health and fitness array of classes that are offered, but a couple things that I found weren't offered, I wanted to kind of see if I could bring in some things that complement what we're already offering. On Wellness Wednesdays, we'll be doing a brief monthly guided meditation. So that'll be very, think of it like a monthly wellness break for yourself. So 15 minutes, just step away from screens and your daily demands, focusing on breath, presence, and self-care. Just a chance to recharge and return to your day feeling more centered and refreshed. That's the goal of that class. There's no cost to join. It's just there for you as community. I'll also be launching mind-body skills groups, tools for calm, resilience, and well-being. This is an evidence-based wellness program with practical tools for stress management, brain building, a strong nervous system, and improved resilience. This will be small group learning with peer support. and take-home skills that can support you long-term with your well-being. It's based on an evidence-based program from the Center for Mind-Body Medicine in Washington, D.C. And the groups are designed to focus on not the lecture side of what we do, but emphasizing learning, practical techniques, and what you can use in your daily lives. We'll be doing breathing exercises, mindfulness, guided imagery, gentle movement, self-reflection, and activities such as journaling. And each session provides an opportunity for you to have this in a supportive and confidential group setting. Each class will build on itself, so it's designed as a series. So if you start with the first, we want to go to the sixth. And this is really different, where we're not learning as much from a facilitator as we're sharing with each other and having mutual support. And the goal is to have that toolkit of strategies for yourself to help you support your own healthy aging process. So hope you'll join me. Those are both located on page 9 and 10. Any questions? I'm happy to talk through that in the lobby as well. And also lunch bunches. We've had a lot of interest in that. So.
Thank you, Leslie. So just a couple of wrap-up notes. Registration opens today at noon. Many ways to register online through your Oasis account. You could call us. There are paper registration forms. You can register in the lobby today if you decide to stick around till noon. When you're looking at your classes, either in the catalog or online, just be sure to note, is the class at Oasis or on Zoom? And there are, in the images on the slide, on the left-hand side is what you would see on our website if a class is recorded. And on the right-hand side is what you would see in our printed catalog, that little icon, which looks kind of like a teardrop with a start symbol in the middle of it. That tells you that the class is recorded if you're looking at it in our catalog. Just a little bit about recorded classes. As Leslie mentioned, we're trying to record as many of our classes, of our lectures as we can, and that the instructor allows. And recordings will be emailed to people who've registered for the class in advance. You'll get the recording within 1 business day after the class, and they'll be available to watch for 72 hours or 3 days after the link is sent to you. Okay? And next slide, thank you. I'll take some questions. If you have any, we can also continue our conversations out in the lobby for a lovely reception that, as you know, Leslie went and picked up the food for. Also in the lobby, you can visit with Steve at the tech tutor table if you want to ask him what kinds of things he can do for you. And also our partner friends from Suburban Hospital will have a table here with some giveaways, and there's drinks. So I hope you'll join us for the reception and conversation. Registration will open at noon. If you're going to stay here to register, what you're going to want to do is when you get out to the lobby, Anna Sachs, who was sitting next to me, our operations coordinator, she'll have numbers. She's right in the back of the room. She'll have numbers. So if you want to stick around to register, take a number from Anna, then you can relax and enjoy the reception, and we'll call you starting at noon. Okay? So does anyone have any questions in here that you want to address? Okay, I see a couple questions. So let's start with the lady in the black shirt right here. Yeah.
(10:30 to 12:30). So I'm wondering if it's okay to sit here and munch on a sandwich while is food allowed?
That's a good question. That's never come up. I thought you were going to ask about the bathroom. And there will be a break in the middle of class. So I would say if during the break would be a good time for you maybe to step into the kitchen and have a little snack. Okay. In the back, Elaine. Yeah. Ralph, is the walking tour workable for someone with a rollator? You'll be on sidewalks that are ADA accessible. And you can talk to Ralph more about it if you like. Okay, I see a hand in the back row. Yes, it is. So the question is, why is our recording window shorter than it has been? We did some real deep research and soul searching, and it turns out that's what a lot of other organizations do with their recordings. They're available for 3 days or 72 hours. Also, we wanted our instructors to be comfortable that their content wasn't just out there on the internet for such a long period of time. But I understand that that is a lot shorter than what you were used to. Excuse. Right. I hear you. I hear you saying you wish it were a little longer. This is new for us, so we'll be assessing how it goes this term, and we will tweak if we need to. Yeah, thank you for that. Noted comment. Any other questions? Any other questions? Well, I suggest that you go out and enjoy the reception. Thank you so much for coming today. It was great to have you here.